Maybe you've noticed a subtle tingling in your feet, or a moment when your balance didn't feel as steady as it once did. Perhaps your reflexes seem a little slower, or your hands don't feel quite as responsive, and you've quietly wondered if this is just part of getting older. It's a common assumption. After 50, many people begin to accept small changes in sensation or coordination as something they simply have to live with. But here's what makes this conversation important. Growing research suggests that lifestyle, circulation, metabolic health, sleep, and even certain daily habits can influence how well your nerves function over time. That doesn't mean something is seriously wrong, and it definitely doesn't mean you should panic. It simply means your nervous system responds to what you do every day, what you eat, how much you move, how well you rest, and even how your body absorbs key nutrients. Small patterns, repeated over years, can shape how clearly your brain communicates with your muscles and senses. And most people never connect those dots. If you've noticed changes and brushed them off as just aging, you're not alone. Share in the comments what changes you've observed. Sometimes just talking about it helps bring clarity. Because what we're about to explore isn't about fear. It's about understanding the everyday factors that may be quietly influencing your nerve health. And one of them might surprise you. There's a quiet moment that catches many people off guard. Maybe it's a slight tingling in the toes when you wake up, a brief wave of numbness in your fingers, or a moment when your balance doesn't feel as steady as it once did. It's subtle, easy to dismiss, and almost automatically the thought appears, this must be aging. For many adults over 50, small changes in sensation or coordination are accepted as part of the natural timeline of life. Slower reflexes, occasional pins and needles, feeling less stable on uneven ground. These experiences often get filed away under the label of just getting older. But what researchers continue to explore is something more nuanced. While aging does bring changes, lifestyle patterns, circulation, metabolic health, sleep quality, and daily habits can all influence how well your nervous system functions over time. That perspective shifts the conversation. It moves it away from inevitability and toward awareness. One of the biggest areas of discussion right now involves blood sugar. Even in people who haven't been diagnosed with diabetes, researchers are studying how repeated blood sugar spikes may affect small nerve fibers over the long term. When we regularly consume refined carbohydrates and ultra-processed foods, blood glucose levels can rise and fall more dramatically. Over time, those fluctuations are being examined for their potential role in nerve sensitivity and overall metabolic health. This isn't about labeling foods as good or bad. It's about recognizing patterns. Many modern diets contain hidden sugars, not just in desserts, but in breads, sauces, cereals, and packaged snacks. Public health experts are increasingly talking about how ultra-processed foods may influence inflammation, vascular health, and energy regulation. And because nerves rely on healthy blood flow and nutrient delivery, these conversations naturally connect to nerve resilience as well. Another growing concern is something far more ordinary: sitting. Long periods of inactivity have become a defining feature of modern life. Whether it's working at a desk, watching television, or spending extended hours driving, many people move far less than previous generations. Health organizations around the world now refer to prolonged sitting as a public health issue. When the body stays still for long stretches, circulation can slow. Muscles aren't engaged. Oxygen delivery may not be as efficient. Over time, reduced movement is associated with changes in muscle strength, balance, and coordination. Even light activity, standing up regularly, walking after meals, stretching during the day, is being highlighted as beneficial. Not because it's extreme, but because consistency matters. Then there's a topic many viewers quietly wonder about, but rarely discuss: the long-term use of acid-reducing medications. These medications can be helpful for managing reflux or stomach discomfort under medical guidance. At the same time, some medical literature has examined whether long-term acid suppression may influence vitamin B12 absorption in certain individuals. Vitamin B12 plays a role in nerve function and the maintenance of nerve cells. That doesn't mean anyone should stop prescribed medication on their own. It simply reinforces the importance of regular conversations with healthcare providers, especially as we age, about nutrient levels and long-term medication use. It's part of a larger theme emerging in public health: reviewing habits periodically rather than assuming they're neutral forever. Alcohol is another area where discussions have evolved. Heavy alcohol use has long been associated with nerve damage, but more recent conversations explore how even moderate, regular drinking may influence sleep quality and nutrient absorption. Sleep in particular is receiving more attention than ever before. Researchers increasingly describe sleep as a critical repair window for the brain and nervous system. When sleep is fragmented or shortened, recovery processes may not function as efficiently. Many people use a nightly drink as a way to unwind. And while that ritual can feel relaxing in the moment, alcohol may alter sleep cycles later in the night. Over time, disrupted sleep can affect energy, balance, and cognitive clarity. It's not about judgment. It's about understanding how patterns interact. All of these topics connect through a common thread: inflammation. You've likely heard the word often. Chronic low-grade inflammation is being studied in relation to cardiovascular health, metabolic conditions, and neurological changes. Diets high in ultra-processed foods, limited movement, poor sleep, and chronic stress are frequently discussed as contributors. Nerves, like all tissues in the body, depend on a stable internal environment. When inflammation becomes persistent, researchers are exploring how that may influence vascular and nerve health over decades. Again, none of this is about fear. It's about recognizing that the nervous system isn't isolated. It responds to circulation, nutrient status, metabolic balance, and rest. What makes this empowering is that many of these factors are connected to daily rhythms rather than dramatic interventions. Balanced meals that support steady energy, regular light movement instead of prolonged stillness, reviewing medications with a healthcare professional, prioritizing restorative sleep, being mindful of alcohol intake. These are not extreme measures. They're supportive habits that align with what public health experts increasingly recommend for overall wellness. It's also important to remember that changes don't happen overnight, in either direction. Just as patterns develop gradually, improvements in well-being tend to be gradual too. The nervous system is adaptable. It constantly responds to the signals it receives. When circulation improves, when sleep deepens, and when nutrient intake stabilizes, the body adjusts. For viewers who may feel worried, this is where reassurance matters. Experiencing tingling or occasional numbness doesn't automatically mean something serious is happening. It does, however, provide an opportunity to pay attention, to ask questions, to reflect on habits, to discuss concerns with a qualified professional if needed. There's a powerful shift that happens when we move from assuming decline to exploring support. Aging isn't a failure, it's a process. And within that process, lifestyle choices continue to play a meaningful role. If any of this resonates, if you've noticed small changes and wondered what they mean, you're not alone. Many people are having these conversations now. Public health discussions are evolving, and research continues to expand our understanding of how daily life shapes long-term nerve function. As you reflect on your own routines, consider this. Where might small adjustments make a difference in how you feel 5 or 10 years from now? Maybe it's adding gentle movement to your day. Maybe it's taking a closer look at ultra-processed foods. Maybe it's having a conversation about nutrient levels during your next checkup. Awareness doesn't require urgency. It requires attention. If this discussion gave you something to think about, consider sharing it with someone who might benefit. And I'd genuinely like to hear from you. Have you noticed subtle changes in sensation, balance, or energy as you've gotten older? What habits have you started paying closer attention to? Let's continue the conversation in the comments. Because in our next discussion, we're going to explore something that often goes unnoticed: how stress and mental load quietly influence physical resilience over time, and why that connection might be even more important than most people realize.